Okay, so this is our first year we've set up in the garage. I pulled my car out. One of the first things we do is we put a ground cloth down on the garage floor because you're going to drip honey. And in terms of cost, all right, this little thing right here we find is great because there's two kinds of buckets. There's ones that have a place where you can put the honey from the buckets to the honey buckets, so it has an opening. I'll show you one of those, but for this one right here, it's just a regular food container bucket, and when it's filled with honey, you use this and actually put it on the side, and then you can drain the honey over a long period of time while it sits in that holder. That holder is about 20 bucks. I don't know, one of those plastic buckets are 5 or 10 bucks. Of course, you need bottles. They're right around $1 a piece. Some are lower, some are higher. If you go into glass, they're a little bit more expensive. Some people call these filters, but I call them strainers. And what they are is they have enough space to let the honey through, but keep the bee parts and the wax out of the honey. You'll see how we use this little uncapping tool for the little spots on the frames that need uncapping. You need an uncapping knife. The filters are, the strainers are about 20 bucks for a set. That little yellow doodad is, I don't know, 8 to 10 bucks. The knife, we paid $25, but you could go cheap and just use the serrated knife from your kitchen. This is the uncapping tub. This goes across the top where you place the frames on. The wax gets hung up on here and lets the honey drain to the bottom. Over on the side you have the little drainer where you can drain it into bottles. It also comes with a lid. These are a little pricey. These are $130 to $150, but I know people who make their own for a lot less. Of course, the honey buckets with the drains, so you can put the honey from the bucket into the containers. You can also buy just a regular food grade container and just buy this unit and put it on yourself. Not hard to do either. Those buckets are, as is, are about 30 bucks. I don't recall what these are. They might be $10 or $15, all right? Of course, the trusty garage fan that's at the end of its life to blow on you when it's warm. And then the most expensive piece of equipment is the extractor. So what we did is we bought a manual extractor and we bought the engine and installed it ourselves. There's a YouTube video. It was really easy. I made the nice little base. I actually impressed myself with it because you want to put it on a base, and I just used some 2x4s underneath there, boxed around it, plus in an X pattern, and then screwed the legs into a 2x4 for support. So that is about it cost me about $1,000 before tax. I have a resale license for honey, so I can buy equipment like this without sales tax. But you can pay a lot more for an extractor, or you can get the manual ones that you can just do by hand. So that's the setup. So all in all, plus your trusty Costco table, all in all, you're pushing, with my setup here, I don't know, about $1,500 to harvest honey. So fun times. So this is the uncapping collector that I mentioned, costs about $150. And then some of these frames are more than the first year. The first year they tend to not be beyond the outside of the wood, but once you get a couple of years, then cuts right down. A lot of people like the heated knives. I personally like just the serrated knives. And as you can see, this one can bend, so you can get it to cover
even if it's not a deep piece of wax, you can bend it in there and get that covered by the blade. So it's usually a little easier. Just need a little momentum here. And then it comes off, catches down there, and then the grill there will catch the wax, and then there'll be quite a bit of wax that drains down. And so then when you do one, once that's done, then you do the other side. There's a little nail right there that you can rest it on, and I pushed a little too hard, it looks like, because I'm going to get it started. No. This is just kind of, this is the first time I've used this knife. There we go. Just get a little momentum going and let the gravity do the work. Very satisfying. Taking off the outer cap of the wax. Very easy. Alright, get that off, and then there's a little bit up here. Wipe that off, and then it's ready to get put into the extractor. So
flip it upside down.
It's dripping, and you want to flip it upside down. The only thing is we didn't get the extractor ready, so let me turn the extractor so it's ready to go. Alright, so flip it upside down, and
You do it the other way.
just put it right in there. Got a little wax on the top, should have cut that off. And then you fill that up, and you fill it up, and once you get it full, you just you can rotate it just like that. I didn't get it all the way down. So here, let's put it all the way down this time. Oh, it got hung up on the wax. There, now it's all the way down. So put this back. You can just turn it slowly so you can rotate it for the next one. But there's two in each section. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll show it to you once it's full. Alright, we've got 6 frames loaded up, 18 to 20 pounds of honey, and we'll turn it on slowly. Get it started. Get a little weight out of it. If you look down, I don't know if you can see this in the light, you can see the honey on the side of that in the light. Can you see that? So the honey flicks to the outside and then starts running down the wall, collects at the bottom, and comes out the tube. So we can turn it up a little bit. We got some of that honey out there. We've never had this good a light when we've done this before. See the honey hitting the sides of the walls. Get a little weight off before we turn it on full speed. Kind of like a washing machine. On the spin cycle. Yeah, I expected this not to be so bouncy. It's not the base. Hold on. All right, we'll turn it up in a second. I think I may need to tighten the bolts. We had to tighten the bolts on the base. This is the main voyage of the spin of the extractor, and I didn't remember that I left the legs on a little loose in case I wanted to make an adjustment. So it's on full speed now, spinning out all the honey. So kind of makes a nice little fan on this hot day too.
You can see a lot of the honey, the liquid that was on the side is now kind of dripped down into the bottom.
Yeah, we're gonna pull the honey down at the bottom.
Kind of see the shininess. You can see it in the light.
Yeah, you can see it fairly well.
And a lot of the honey is dripped down from the side.
All right, these are empty. Moment where we are opening up the gate for the first time. And out comes the honey. It looks a little dark.
So it's going through
The strainer.
a strainer, which is sitting on top of the bucket. And then we'll go down into this bucket that we can use to fill our bottles.
There's a dead bee that just came through.
That's a dead bee part.
Nobody wants to eat that, so that's why it goes through the strainer.
Yep. So we'll do that with all of the frames. And it will be interesting to see how many 5-gallon buckets we fill with what we have.
We think we have about 47 frames, so it's going to be right near 150 pounds.
So we'll see if our guess is right.
All right, on some of the first year frames, because they start out with just foundation, the bees don't build the wax out as far, so the knife can't cut it because it's below the rim of the wood. So we have to use this little picking tool to pick the wax cappings off. So this is just an example of that process.
It's kind of satisfying to just do it a little bit at a time, although it is much longer to do it that way than to do it with the knife. The knife is much faster, but for those people who are a little OCD like me, it's very satisfying to just kind of pick it all the way across until it's just clean.
Sometimes though the bees will build it out far enough because the knife can bend that it'll take a big chunk of it off. Like this one, looks like most of it, we'll be able to get a lot of it cut off.
And that is also very satisfying, watching it just kind of fall like that and roll off. It's amazing what those little bees can do.
Yep.
Okay, so that one's ready to go in the extractor.
Of course, the very satisfying part, filling up the bottles. It does take a lot of time when you have to do over 100 of them, but we fill them up and then we slap on one of our labels and a nutrition bottle, and they are ready to be consumed. Got little drips that we take off. Got the labels over here.